Now we're back to learning CSS. This time I want to show you a basic dropdown, and we can use this principle in the next tutorial where I'm going to show you how to create a dropdown button. The principle is the same for each. We'll create a text. We'll just put that in a div container. This is going to be visible by default. And if we hover over it with the mouse, we want to have something else shown. So this div container is our dropdown. I give it the dropdown class and I use that as a selector in our CSS. I'll adjust the position to relative and set the display to inline block. And then inside of this div container, we can put our dropdown text. So in our case, I just want to use a text, but it's generally the dropdown content. When you, for example, have a navigation bar and you want to have subcategories, sublinks, you can use the same principle. This one I'll nest it in a div container with the class dropdown minus content that we can use as a selector in CSS. And here at the text, this is shown by hovering over the dropdown. For now, it is already showing without any hover effect. So we'll have to fix that using CSS. Let me put that into its own paragraph. I'll add the opening here and the closing right there. So now in principle we hover over me, and then this is shown by hovering over the dropdown should be shown. When this is not active, when we're not hovering, we'll have to set the display to none. Now it disappears. We can start that later on. Let's get our hover effect going. We'll select the dropdown class, which is this hover over me text. Or to be correct, it's the div container in which this hover over me text is nested. And then we are going to select the dropdown minus content class, and we set the display to block. And this should bring it back. So if I hover now over this, you can see the text, and if I unhover, the text disappears. And this is how easy you can create these basic drop-down effects. Now it's all about styling it. We, for example, set the position for the content to absolute, so it's only as big as our div container for the hover over me text. You can give that a background color, a width, a minimum width would make sense maybe in this case, and this is all just a bonus. Important is to understand this hover effect and that it changes the display of the drop-down content so that it switches from none to block and from block to none depending on the state of the drop-down element. Try to do that yourself to understand it, and as I've said, in the next tutorial we will create a drop-down button and we're going to use this principle for it.